I call the hard work the heart work, because there are some things that you have to really work on your heart, emotional intelligence, your mind. And some people don't like to do that work. It's scary, but it creates a big, great awareness. And when you are aware and clear, that's when you can make the change. So I would encourage you, if you are holding on to any limited belief, please don't allow it to become your new normal. Challenge it.
Welcome to Shaping Freedom. These conversations are about how freedom is actually formed, what we inherit, what stops working, and the choices that change how we live and lead. I'm your host, Lisane Basquiat. This year on the podcast, I'm grounding our conversations in awareness about how we begin to recognize the patterns that we inherited, the rules that we absorbed without question, and the strategies that we learned simply to survive. Because once you see a pattern, the outcome stops feeling so random and it puts you into control of what happens in your life. Today's conversation sets that tone for this entire year. My guest today is Dr. Karmetria Burton. She's a senior leader at McDonald's. She's the founder of the Paint Your Lips Red Foundation, and very excited to announce the author of Never Wear Red Lipstick, a new book that's currently available for pre-sale. So make sure you get yourself to all the places, Amazon and on her website, to buy it. This book is described as a love letter to Black women, but it's also a truth-telling. It names the lies, the inherited rules, and the quiet negotiations that shape how women lead, heal, and decide when it's finally time to stop waiting. This isn't a conversation about lipstick. It's a conversation about awareness, self-leadership, and what happens when you stop organizing your life around rules that were never designed with you in mind. Karmetria, welcome back to the podcast. I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you. Such a pleasure. Such a pleasure. And you're right. It's been over 2 years. I love when things come full circle.
Yeah, I went to look to see when we actually spoke. And I think that because of some things we were doing on the back end, I couldn't really get the actual time. But I'm really glad that you're back, because we talked about so many juicy things in that last conversation, even hinting then that we would continue the conversation at some point, not knowing when, and here we are today. So one thing that you and I spoke in December, and one of the things that we talked about was this book, your new book that's coming out soon, that's in pre-sale. I think the pre-sales started in mid-December. And one of the things that I thought would be a good way to kick off this conversation is to ask you, as you were writing this book, what did you become aware of in yourself that you hadn't fully named before writing it?
Great question. As I was writing this book, I realized this was healing for me as well. There were a lot of areas in the book when I was writing and giving my lived experience where I went, ooh, ooh, ooh. So I was still healing as I wrote it. Healed in more areas than others, but there were still some very raw spots in the book that said, I need to continue to heal, and I want to bring other women on this journey with me as we heal together.
Yeah. I think that's part of, like, sometimes we write, we heal, we teach, and it's really about what that helps us, how that helps us to elevate and to grow to the next version of ourselves.
That's right. That's right.
One of the things that you talked about is that leadership really starts with leading yourself. And I think that we kind of not tiptoed around it, but it was part of the conversation that we had a few years ago. And I wanted to stay there for a moment and talk about that, about leadership, which is typically seen as kind of an external, an act that benefits the external. But what does that look like when you're leading yourself? And what did you mean by that?
Yeah. I think we need to realize that we are leading as women, we're leading households. We're making major consumer decisions. So don't always think of yourself as a leader leading a business or in a corporate space, but leadership starts right where you're standing. And that is when the self-awareness, the emotional intelligence, all of that should kick in. You should be thinking to yourself, wow, have I grown in this area? So I do think you don't have to be a leader running a business. Leadership starts right where you stand, and it's with self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and maturity. So I do think it starts right where you are.
Yeah. In our last conversation, we spoke about your grandma.
Yeah.
And I encourage those who are listening to make sure that you go back and listen to that episode. Quite frankly, whether you listened to it before or not, because it was a great conversation. I re listened to it recently. And one of the things we talked about a lot in that conversation was red lipstick, the power of red lipstick. And one of the things in your book that you talked about is that you framed it as like an inherited rule. You know, what other rules did you realize you were living by before you started to consciously question those rules?
Yeah. I encourage everybody to think about those rules or those things that just aren't true that people have told us, but more importantly, the things we tell ourselves daily. The most important conversation you will ever have, and I hope you have these often, are the conversations you have with yourself. The conversations we have with ourselves daily are so important. Sometimes they're negative, sometimes they're positive, but we have to stop the negative self talk. And that's the premise of the book, those limited beliefs that we've told ourselves or people have told that just aren't true. And they've allowed us to be stuck at work, stuck at home, stuck in relationships that we have with ourselves. So that is the impetus of the book. Really, really quieting the self-talk, the negative self-talk, and turning those limited beliefs into limitless truths. We have to start doing that.
Yeah, I love that, and I think that that's one of the reasons why I was so excited about you and I having this conversation after we spoke in December, because it's in such alignment with I think what so many women are needing to hear today. Right. And I love the fact that you do talk so much about the relationship that you're in with yourself and really quieting those limiting, that self talk that's negative. And I think that to get there, you have to be aware of the fact that you're in conversation with yourself because we don't always realize that. You know, this dialogue is happening, that dialogue that says things like,
I'm not good enough.
yeah,
When
don't
is it
speak
my
up right now.
turn? Yeah.
Hmm.
When is it my turn? I'm not good enough. I'm the only in the room.
Yeah.
Those aren't true. And if you do feel like those are true, my book will take you to how to break those limited beliefs down and turn them into limitless truths. I have something in the book called the Boss Blueprint. And the bossing up is a mindset, and we'll talk about that. But it is really a system that I've outlined in the book to help women take the limited belief and just break it down and turn it into a limitless truth.
Hmm. Let's talk about these rules that you talk about in the book. What are they and what is an inherited rule?
So one of the limited beliefs that we talk about is um, not having it all figured out and not allowing society to dictate, when we get married, when we have children, you should have the big house and the white picket fence by then. Those are just not true. And sometimes as women, we create these lists and we're checking everything off. And when we don't put that check mark by a certain thing, we feel like we're failing or we feel like we haven't moved forward. So I really want women to stop allowing society to put these limited beliefs on us and these rules and these regulations. Because in reality, a lot of these things happen at different paces for us. One of the other limited beliefs I talk about is Prince Charming is not coming. No one is coming to save us. We have everything we need.
That's right. That's right. We don't need to be
Nobody's
saved.
coming. Nobody's
Yeah.
coming. No
Yeah.
one is coming.
Yeah.
We have everything we need to be everything we need to be right here. But because of the negative self-talk, the things people have told us, the things we told ourselves, we're looking for somebody to come and save us. I want to tell you right now, Prince Charming is not coming. Sorry. Sorry to inform you. We need to save ourselves, and we need to be put ourselves in positions to make sure we're saving ourselves from the way we think about this. Write the book, buy the house, go on a trip. Stop waiting for someone else or something else to prompt you into action, because you only get one life and it's your life. So Prince Charming is not coming. That's one of the limited beliefs that we talk about in the book. Stop waiting and do it.
So when you say Prince Charming is not coming, just for clarity's sake, you're not saying that love isn't coming.
I'm not
You're
saying that.
not saying that the partner's not coming.
What I am saying is so often we wait for that thing to come before we live.
That's right.
We wait for that thing, whether it's Prince, whatever it is, before we live. No, I can't buy the house yet. No, I don't want to write the book yet. No, I can't travel by myself yet. Why not? It's just you. You are your best company. You are the person that will motivate you the best. So, Prince Charming in this instance, thank you for that, may not be a person, but what is that thing you're waiting on to prompt you into action? It's not going to happen. You have it within you to get it done.
And what are the benefits of doing that? Because I actually am, we're completely on the same page with that. Waiting for someone else or something else or that perfect job or that perfect person or that perfect situation is just a recipe for delaying joy, in my opinion.
That's right.
So, what are the benefits of making those decisions to, because I really want to get into and help those folks who are listening who may be waiting. I can't buy that home because when I meet this person that I'm not even aware of yet, that person may not want to. How are we going to navigate that situation? Like, what are the benefits for that woman who's listening to just moving forward today?
Move forward. Again, no one is coming. And the benefits are it will increase your confidence. So often we think we can't do things because we're afraid. I'm not good enough. I don't have enough. But there's glory on the other side of fear. So I say just do it. It increases your confidence. It encourages people around you because people are saying, if she can do it, me too. We just talked about that and she wrote the book. She's encouraging me. It encourages your circle of influence. So it increases your confidence. It encourages other people to do it, and you will be better for it, for not waiting and just living your life out loud. We only get one life. And I always talk about the one thing that I think is so critical is I am still going through, and I've gone through a grieving season. And when we lose people that are close to us, it really, really helps you. You look at life different. And so my mantra now is I'm not waiting. I want to do it. I only get one life. There's an invisible clock, saying ticking behind all of us. And we don't know when our invisible clock will stop. So what are you waiting on? Stop waiting for the person, stop waiting for the thing, and do it. It increases your confidence. You'll encourage others, and you'll be better for it on the other side.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. I know that
Yeah,
somebody needs to hear that. And I think that's also part of leadership. Part of
absolutely.
leadership is so many of us want to be leaders in the world. And another thing that we wait for someone to dub us a leader, to tell, okay, well, now you've gotten that promotion. So now you're, air quotes, a leader. I think that making the decision to become a leader is something that we have the ability to do and something that we can start doing right now.
Yeah. It starts right where you're standing. I always say leadership starts right where you're standing. Don't wait on the promotion. Don't wait to start the business. Don't wait on your next client. It is all about self awareness and how you lead yourself. Because when you have that strong self awareness, everything else around you will feel that impact. So it starts with you and right where you're standing. And everybody has a different leadership journey. It's different for everybody.
You also talked, and sticking with the inherited rule piece for a moment, you talked about these rules that kind of that we just automatically go into. What can happen when a person holds on to a rule for much longer than they need to?
Yeah. If you hold on to a limited belief longer than you need to, it becomes your new normal. And that is not healthy because you're operating from a place of this is normal. I haven't challenged it. No one has told me any different. And it becomes embedded in you. And we get into that space that I hate being in, and so many people, you're stuck because you carried this belief around for years that's just not true. So if you're stuck, I would challenge you to think about all the things that you're hearing and believing. Why are you stuck? And start to dismantle some of those things. I guarantee you some of the things that you dismantle are just aren't true. But
Yeah.
because we've been conditioned and we've normalized for years the limited belief, we think it's normal. Saying one thing that I've learned is sometimes people don't like to do the hard work. I call the hard work the heart work because there are some things that you have to really work on your heart, emotional intelligence, your mind. And some people don't like to do that work. It's scary, but it creates a big, great awareness. And when you are aware and clear, that's when you can make the change. So I would encourage you, if you are holding on to any limited belief, please don't allow it to become your new normal. Challenge it. What are those things that are allowing you to be really stuck? And challenge those and turn those limited beliefs into limitless truths.
Yeah, that's incredibly valuable. What a gem. And I think that that is part of the issue for people, which is you have to take the time to do that.
You do.
And when you're living on autopilot, it's really hard, if not almost impossible, to actually understand the difference between what you're doing by choice and what you're doing because it's just a limited belief that you've just been dragging along for decades.
Yeah.
You have to have that pause and give yourself those moments of pause in order to really start to do the dismantling that you're talking about. That's so very important.
And don't be afraid of it because people are afraid of it because of what they will find out and learn. But what better way to be more equipped to attack it? So don't be afraid of that. A lot of people are afraid of doing the heart work because they're in denial. They don't want to find out things about themselves. But to me, remember, leadership starts where you're standing. That's just another level of self awareness. So don't be afraid to do the work, and use it as an opportunity to be better. We have to have a growth mindset. And that's exactly what will happen if you do the work.
Yeah. And I would add, I think that a lot of times we already know. We
Yeah.
know what the thing is. I don't think it's like
You're
that we're
scared of it.
afraid. Yeah, you're afraid of what happens when I admit or acknowledge
Yeah.
that there's something happening in my life that is different from what I want, but I'm the one
Yeah.
standing in control of that. I think that that's one of the obstacles that people have. But I would add to what you're saying that think about the amount of joy that you can bring into your life with that clarity.
Yes. Yes. It all starts with us. It's so important. It starts with you. And when you do the work, you'll be amazed at how it impacts other things in your life, your relationships, personal and professional. How you show up will change. How you see yourself will change. I think you will begin to attract everything that's out there for you. But sometimes because we haven't done that work and we're so afraid of it, we're closed. So I think when you begin to adapt that growth mindset, you get everything out there that's meant for you because you are in a season of embracing it and attracting what you deserve.
Yeah. And it's not easy. You're right. I mean, I know I've had my moments where I had to sit down and say, okay, Lisan, certain things are not working the way you'd like them to work. and you've been pointing a finger outward for a long time. you know, let's take a moment and really like look at what that's about. And while it may feel uncomfortable in the moment, or there may be feelings of shame or embarrassment or disappointment in myself or in dissatisfaction with what I'm doing, what I have learned in those Lisane moments that has been so beneficial to me is it's just discomfort.
And we don't like to be uncomfortable. We don't like to be uncomfortable.
Right. But it takes a few minutes. There's no like snap your fingers and you're enlightened. You going through that discomfort for me personally in those Lisan moments was a way for me to address that, feel it, emote, because sometimes it brings on feelings of fear or sadness or hurt or anger or whatever those feelings are. But getting through that allowed me and allows other people to get to the other side, to the point where you can actually start to make decisions that will ensure that you go down a different path, a path that is more productive for us.
And you said awareness. It starts with awareness. You have to be aware. So yeah, you got to be aware to go down a different path. We got to have a growth mindset.
That's right. All right, can we talk a moment about setting the vibe? If you're anything like me, your space needs to feel good in order for you to feel good. And that's why I created the Shaping Freedom line of candles. It's not just about ambiance, but really about how you align yourself internally. These are more than just candles. They shift your energy. Whether you're journaling, meditating, working out, or just taking a moment for yourself, these scents are curated to ground you, lift you up, and bring you back home to yourself. They also have an 80-hour burn time and scents that are designed to evoke feelings of alignment and internal congruency. And we can all use that. Go to shop.shapingfreedom.com and check them out. Find the one that speaks to your spirit or buy all four and let them burn with intention. In your book, you describe never wear red lipstick as a limitation that can sometimes get passed down. What other limitations show up that way?
You know, we as Black women have been told red is too loud for our skin color. Our lips are too large. Red lipstick had a connotation, of women in the night. Red lipstick may have meant you're too bold. I like it, but you're too much. And so, I always tell women red lipstick is not a fashion statement, it's a call to action. Because I think it shows when a woman wears red lipstick, she's bold, but she's also feminine. And as we as women grow into our leadership, ladies, let's keep the femininity. And red
Yes,
lipstick is a way that shows that. And you'd be surprised at how many men like women leaders that are still feminine. So, ladies, keep your femininity. Red lipstick has been around for years. When I started this movement, I went back and researched and I looked at pictures. And back during the war, nurses wore red lipstick to keep the wounded soldiers inspired as best they could,
oh,
because
wow.
they wore all white. So the red was a pop of color for nurses in the war taking care of soldiers. If you go back and look at all the actresses, what was the only color? Red. There was no pink and dark red and blues then. It was red lipstick. And we all wore it. But as Black women, we were told our lips were too big, we were too dark. But to that, I would say, ladies, find your shade because there's so many shades of red lipstick out there. Your shade is not my shade. And finding the shade that's comfortable for you, which allows you to show up the way you need to.
That's right. What other limitations do we have that show up similar to that?
Yeah. Um, one of the things I talk about in my book is I'm really big on women should collaborate and not compete. Somewhere along the way, we as women, we hold stuff so close because we're in competition with other women, or we're jealous, or how did she get that? Or it's my turn. There's something to be said. There's strength in numbers. There's something to be said about a strong collaboration. So I really want women to get to collaborating and not competing with each other. Men do it. Why can't we? So that is another limited belief, right? Bring women along, mentor other women. If there's a woman you want to work in, reach out. I love your work. How can I learn? So women need to collaborate and not compete. And I always think about the female lioness and what is her role? To hunt. She gets food, right? For the tribe. But guess what? All of the women are doing that. And they are so strategic about it when they're going out to hunt. It's like they're looking at the prey, and it's like they know what position to get in. And they all go in it, and everybody wins. So when women collaborate and not compete, everybody wins. We're stronger, we're better, and there's strength in numbers. So I always say we can get a lesson from the female lioness because they work very well together to hunt, to feed the tribe, right? Nobody eats less. They probably get more because they've collaborated and they're not competing. So there's a lesson that we can learn from the female lioness.
For sure. And that's about being focused. And I
Yeah.
think that that's where we get thrown off track sometimes because we get so caught up in things and we hold on to things for so much longer than they need to be held on to. I can't tell you how many people I've met who are angry at someone because of something that happened anytime more than 5 days ago. 10 years ago, I was walking down the street and the woman looked at me and rolled her eyes and now I don't want to speak to that person. And I think that that is where we can take that nod from the way that men interact with each other. In my experience, while I was in corporate and just in life, men can get together, have a brawl with each other, tell each other off, talk the thing loud, boisterous, and 2 seconds later turn around and say, all right, man, let's go, get a
Yep.
beer or whatever it
Yep.
is.
Yep.
I think it'd be great for us to take a page
I
from
think
that
we
book.
should. I think we
Yeah.
should. Yeah. I think we should because it gets nothing done. And you never know how that woman, and at the end of the day, it's about sisterhood. It's really about sisterhood. And if you're mad at your sister, and I know we've all experienced hurt from other women because I have, but I say keep the lesson and don't be bitter, be better. Don't you pass that hurt on to another woman. You break the cycle. Of course, after you heal and process it and whatever you need to do, but don't be bitter, be better. And I had an instance where I talk about that in the book. A fellow Black woman threw me under the bus in a very large meeting. And she assured me before the meeting she was on my team, that she was there to help me, support me, and move forward for me and my team. And when we got in the meeting, she pivoted. And I went, oh my God, hurtful, embarrassed, ashamed, couldn't believe it. What did I do to deserve it? But sadly, a lot of us have that story where we've been hurt by other women. And that's why this book is a journey of healing and a journey of moving forward. And if you have been hurt by another woman, I would say do the work, whatever you need to do to move forward, because all women are not like that. I'm sorry you had to experience it, but do the work and try to move on as best you can.
And forgive. Learn how to forgive.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
Because learning how to forgive allows you to travel lighter. When we walk the planet holding on to all of the different ways that we've been offended, you're carrying that baggage around with you. And it's not the cute purse. It's the big old
Hey, I think Erica Badu says it best, saying bag lady. Baggage
it's your
lady.
walk around with
Yes.
bags. And
Yes.
sometimes we think that by not forgiving another person, we're hurting them. But the truth is that the person that you're hurting the most is
Is
yourself.
yourself.
Let it go.
You got to forgive for yourself.
Yeah. And so often, and I think one of the rules that so many people have been raised with is takes us to a place where we are unwilling to forgive another woman, but we'll forgive a man in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And I think that that should not be gender specific. Be forgiving, learn how to forgive.
Across the board.
Yes, because part of sisterhood is helping your sister out. And
Yeah.
sometimes you help a person out by letting them know, first of all, being willing to forgive them. And then, second of all, being willing to let them know how they're being experienced. And it doesn't mean that you're responsible for every person that you encounter or that it's up to you to be the truth teller to that person. But I do think that there are times where that is the lesson in the situation.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. Great point. We forgive men, but we tend to be harder on our fellow sister. Yeah.
Yeah, and what's that about?
Yeah.
And why?
Let's work on
You
that, ladies. Let's
let's
work on
work
that.
on that,
Yeah.
please. You talk about inheritance not just as faith, but also as wisdom, resilience, and responsibility. How do you separate what you inherit from what you're required to do in order to move forward?
One thing the book really talks about is we inherited, faith, a lot of us. And so often we leave that out of business. But I want to encourage you to put it back into business. And what does that look like? I'm not saying you hold a prayer meeting in your workplace or your business, but I am saying you privately pray about any decision you have to make. You privately pray about any meeting. You privately pray about anybody on your team. Faith and business does intersect, and we have to stop treating it separately. And so for me, I inherited faith from the way I grew up, generations of my mother, my grandparents till now, that has really sustained me in this life. And I don't know what I would do without my faith. And my team knows that I'm a leader of faith because I will say to my team, yeah, I'm going to pray about this one, you guys. Or you know what? I don't feel great about that one. So we got to make sure faith and business, there's a place in business for faith because the outcomes impact so many people. And as leaders, you want to make sure you're trying to make the best decision that you can. So my faith is my inheritance. I plan to pass that on to, generations to come. And I'm encouraging women to tap into that. Inheritance does not always mean financial gain. It is those values and practices that was passed on to you that you can use to help increase your leadership. So start thinking of inheritance differently. But that is definitely one, my faith, that I definitely take to the workplace.
And I think it's also about living authentically and
Yeah.
bringing your whole self into the workplace. And I love the fact that you live that value and those truths about yourself. And it doesn't mean that you have to go into the workplace and convert other people or, you know, make other people on your team live according to your faith. It means that you're showing up fully as yourself and living within the realm of your own values, which I think is where the real power in that lies.
Yeah. And you said something interesting, bring your whole self. I would like to challenge that a little bit. I tell people to bring their best self. Um, Bringing your whole self. I don't want people to know the Saturday night Karmetria. Bring your best self to work. I
Well,
don't want
maybe
them to know,
that could be
the
your
Friday
best
night
self,
production.
Karmetria. I don't know. I'm pushing back on that one. That could absolutely be your best self. There are
So
times where
yeah, I tell people bring your best self because we don't want to know everybody's whole self because some people doesn't have filters, Lisane.
yeah. No, I get that. When I say bring, and I know we're joking, when I say bring your whole self, what I mean is that when there is a way to be authentically who you are, every place, everywhere that you roam. And it doesn't mean, like you said, like, what I wear when I'm,
Yeah,
hanging out on a Friday or Saturday
yeah,
is very different from what I'm going to wear in different circumstances. And I think being true to yourself, no matter the environment, is the way that you show up 100% as yourself. Being true to yourself.
yeah. I agree. I agree. I
Yeah.
like that. Yeah,
You talk about these 8 lies as patterns, right? Not as personal failures, but as patterns in your book. And when you look at those 8 lies now, Do you see them as individual beliefs or as collective patterns that Black women have been taught to normalize?
I do think that it is a collective pattern. I do think, hopefully, ladies, when you read the book, you will see yourself in some of these lies. But I do think it's a collective pattern that we've just carried for years, whether somebody else told us or whether we have told ourselves that. And this book is an opportunity to break those down. So I do think it is a great opportunity for a growth mindset and a behavior change. So I do think it's a collective pattern.
Yeah. So let's, without getting into all of it, because I want you all to the book is available for pre sale now. It comes out in March, is it?
Yep, March 31st.
Okay. So I'm encouraging you all to read this book when it comes out. And so, Karmetria, don't tell them too much, but can you share maybe one of the 8 lies, or which of those 8 lies really resonates with you to share right now?
Of the limited beliefs, there are several. I mentioned one: women should collaborate and not compete. The other one, man, there's so many. Ooh, self-care. I know we are probably over self-care, but I want to really demystify that because a lot of people think self-care is the spa, spending a lot of money. No, because a lot of people go, I can't afford that. Your self-care can be in a personal space in your home to meditate and decompress. So I want to take the demystification off to self-care. It's not about spas, it's not about all that. Find a place where you can really connect and meditate to the higher power, whatever that is, to get you grounded. And it has to be spiritually, it has to be physically, and it has to be your mind and heart. So I want to make sure we demystify what self-care means. Self-care is also setting boundaries. Self-care is also saying no and not feeling bad about it. So anything that upsets your nervous system, you need to put that a part of your self-care to figure out how you can deal with it. Another thing is, as women, a lot of us were reared. You go to work, you run your business, you work hard, but you don't talk about your success. That's not humble. As women, we're supposed to be humble. I'm challenging that because so often we're afraid to speak about our success because we don't want to feel like we're bragging. But my philosophy in the book is it's not bragging if you can back it up. So be comfortable, ladies, in how you talk about what you've accomplished. You're your best advocate, but it's often how you've talked about things you've accomplished that may allow people to think you're not humble. So be comfortable in your business has grown, you've gotten a promotion. So often we don't talk about that for fear of how we're going to be seen. But it is perfectly okay to talk about those successes in the most humble way that you know how. So self care, brag when you can back it up, talk about what you've done and it also encourages other women. Oh my God, she just started that business. I can do it. Or, oh my goodness, she just got this promotion. Let me get time with her so I can understand how she got there. So it's very important that we are our best advocates for the work that we've done, and letting people know what we're doing out here. Um, Stop waiting and start leading. That kind of gets back to Prince Charming is not coming. Stop waiting. Start leading. Buy the book. Go back to school. Join the gym. Buy the house. Travel alone. Whatever it is, because you're going to be better for it and you grow through it. A lot of those things that we're afraid to do, like I said before, there's glory on the other side. You grow through the process. I was scared as hell writing this book. Who's going to read it? I don't have anything to say. Nobody's going to be interested in it. But you put that to the side and you really think, and I just wrote. And when I put it on paper, it bolstered my confidence. Like, oh, wow, man, somebody's going to benefit from this. So when I start thinking less about me and what's in it for others, the fear and the negative self-talk kind of diminished. So those are just some of the limited beliefs. I don't want to give too many, but I talk about a lot of the things that held us back. And it's just not from my experience. I did a focus group of other women. So this is not only Karmetria's lived experience, but lived experience of other women that I put together and I wanted to share as well. So You will definitely see yourself in this book at some point, and it is a journey of healing and awareness.
Yeah. There's something that you said, that you say in the book about awareness. And one of the things that I see very clearly in what you're saying now and also in the book is that awareness isn't enough, that action is also required. There has to be some action on the other side of it. What advice do you have? Or maybe you can share something about your own journey with writing this book or any of the things that you've challenged yourself to do. What do you do when you see yourself having some of those thoughts yourself? Like, what are people, do people want to hear what I have to say? Or, who am I to write a book? How do you, Karmetria, move yourself through that?
Yeah, I take myself out of it. I am a servant leader. So I am all about how can I help? How can my experience help somebody else? So remove yourself out of the equation. It's not about us. Think about people that you can help heal, even if it's one person. Remove yourself out of the equation and think about those you can help and heal. Because when we remove ourselves, it becomes so much easier. Because when I was writing the book, I clearly was saying, nobody wants to read this. It's not, there's more experiences out there than you. But then I start putting myself in my 19-year-old body. And I said, if I had had this book when I was 19, I would have saved myself a lot of tears and I would have gotten more sleep at night. Some things that happened. So when you think about helping others, that minimizes that negative self-talk and if I'm good enough. Because it's not about you, it's about the people you want to reach, teach, and help heal on the journey.
It's funny. I use a similar strategy sometimes when I'm getting ready to speak in front of a large audience or if I'm teaching. And that actually is the strategy for me. When
Ah,
I find myself saying, but you, but I, that's a sign for me that I'm thinking too much about myself. And what I say is, Lisane, this isn't about you. This is about them.
yep,
You're being used as a catalyst
that's right. That's
to
right.
help other people. So this isn't about you and where you are. This is about the person or the persons in the room who are going
Yep,
to benefit from you getting out of your way and getting
that's
out of
right.
your head.
And you said something so I think so powerful, authenticity. A lot of times we're stuck because we don't want to be judged. In this book,
Yeah.
I'm talking about some experiences that broke me. And I was scared to talk about them because but I tell people, telling your story is not telling your business. Telling your story is not telling your business, especially if you tell it from a place of healing and want to help others. So we have to start creating safe spaces of non judgment for other women. Allow them to tell their story in their own way. Oh my goodness. And you would be amazed at how many people get helped. So I would encourage you, whatever the story is, it's not telling your business when it comes from a place of healing and wanting to help. So ladies, let's try to show up as authentic as we can. You got to be comfortable about it because you got to know when to share the story because we're so vulnerable with a lot of things. And unfortunately, sometimes people can use things against us. So if you have a story, number one, pray about it. Number two, is it the right time? And number three, are you really healed to share it? Because when you're healed, you won't care about the judgment. When you're healed, you just want to help people.
You won't even see the judgment.
No, you won't, because it's coming from a place of it's not about Karmetria. I want to help others. So I'm encouraging women, be more authentic as best you can. Share your story through prayer and make sure it's the right time.
And how do you know when the right time is?
Oh, you'll know. Like me writing this book. Yeah, I was, I mentor women and I started hearing the challenges that women were having. And I'm going, it may be time for you to speak up. It may be time for you to share your experience. And it's not that I'm perfect, but these are my lived experiences and I want to share my journey with you. And then I just prayed about it. Lord, I think I have something to help other women. Lord, help me say it the right way. Lord, am I the right one? Lord, am I really healed from this experience? So I think through prayer, you will get your answer to know when it's time. And you said something so very important. When you move yourself out of the way, when you've prayed about it, you won't care about being judged because your story is coming from a place of healing and you want to help somebody.
So, for the woman who's listening,
Yes.
who is just starting to notice the rules that she's been living by, what would you want her to understand even before she tries to change anything? And I'm asking you that way because we sometimes and also you said a few minutes ago that we're over self-care. No, we're not over self-care. No, we're not over self-care. Self-care every day as much as we can, because that's what helps to fuel us. Right. And so I think that in line with that, sometimes people jump right from awareness to, oh, I understand. And then they go running in to solve the thing before they really fully understand what has happened. So the question is, a person who's reading or listening to this podcast, or who's reading your book, who's starting to notice that there are some rules that she's been living by, what should she understand in that moment of pause before she jumps in to try to change anything?
Give yourself grace. Because when you read the book, I promise you, you're going to see yourself somewhere in the 8 limited beliefs. And I don't want you to feel bad about it. I don't want you to beat yourself up about it. I have strategies in the book to help you navigate through that. You're not a bad person. You're still enough. Give yourself grace. But now, ladies, that you have the grace and the self-awareness, do something about it. Now that you've given yourself the grace and the self-awareness, what are you going to do about it? Because so often we can get all the books, all the tools, all the tips, the coaches and the mentors, and we're afraid to move forward. But I challenge you to put these principles into action and see how you change for the better. So give yourself grace. You're not a bad person. You're still enough. I'm just here to hopefully help and support you down this journey. So don't get so overwhelmed that you have to do all 8. When you read the book, you may not want to start with the first one. Look at the table of contents and maybe go to one that speaks to you. Maybe it's you're in a season of your life where you may need one more than the other. But give yourself grace, really focus on it and practice it. And so the boss blueprint, after each chapter, I ask women to do 3 things. First of all, pray about it. Remember, I want to take faith back into the workplace. Once you've read the limited belief and you go, wow, I really need to pray about this, pray about it. I've included prayers at the end of the chapter because sometimes if you don't have a prayer life, prayer can be intimidating. So I've included prayers at the end of each chapter that each woman can pray about, pray and use. So then after you pray about it, process it. I'm a processor. Sometimes I need a day to really think through stuff. So I've prayed about it. Doing my processing, Karmetria, how are you going to be different? How are you going to apply it? And then the last and final step is paint your lips red. So you're going to pray about it. You're going to process it. And your red lip is showing, I am in action to kill this limited belief and turn it into a limitless truth. So that is, ladies, how I want you to attack the book. Give yourself grace. It's a moment of self-awareness. You are still enough. And then follow the boss blueprint. Pray about it, process it, and then put on your favorite red lipstick as a solidarity that I am practicing, I am killing this limited belief and turning it into a limitless truth.
That is powerful. That is so powerful.
Thank you.
I love these conversations that we've had.
And although the book is written for Black women, there's something in the book for every woman. I'm a Black woman. So the book is clearly my lived experiences, but there's something in the book for women of all backgrounds. You will see yourself in the book. And men, there's something in the book for you too. With the support of men, we all win. So I want men to read the book for several reasons. One, so they can understand some of the limited beliefs that women are dealing with. Two, a man may be dealing with a limited belief in the book. And three, if you are a man that mentors women, your wife, your children, your daughter, now you can get in their mind on some of the things they're dealing with. So there's something in the book for men as well. So, men, we need you on this healing journey with us as well.
In the book, you talk about the only time, and you said it earlier in our conversation, that the only time you have to step into leadership is right now in this moment. And I commend you for, and I've been watching you for a bit. You are a woman who walks the talk. You're not just laying out a list of things for other people to do. You have embodied these principles and these practices. You've lived them, you've practiced them, you've walked yourself through them. And that is the embodiment of walking the talk of the time to step into leadership is right now. And I see that even in this conversation where you shared, you decided you wanted to write a book, you stepped into leadership. You decided in the moments of, when you've encountered issues in the corporate workspace, you stepped into leadership. I've known you, and we don't know each other well, but in what I've observed you as a woman who steps into leadership in the moment when it's presented to you.
Thank
And
you.
I commend you for that, because that takes incredible courage and incredible generosity and vulnerability
Yes.
and a
Yes.
willingness to actually be on the field in the game. You're not just sitting in some, ivory castle somewhere. We talked before about like the picket fence and all that. You're not just sitting in that. Um, I think it's important for people to see. Sometimes we see people who are in leadership roles and who have created these lives for themselves, and we forget that there's a journey. There's a
Yes.
journey
Oof.
between the moments of conversation that you had as a young girl with your grandmother and where you are today, where you've walked your own journey and you've made these decisions to step into leadership along the way. And I just want to acknowledge that and
Thank you.
and um and commend you for that,
Thank you.
because it takes that's the bringing all of yourself
Yeah.
that we were
And
talking
the
about
book,
before.
the book journey took 7 years. It may have been 10. I was thinking about that. And so the lesson there is you got to finish what you start. Something else you said, I started the book, I stopped, life happened. I got a new job. I think I got married. Then my mom got sick. And that just speaks to you growing as a leader. So every time I would stop, I would have a major life event that helped me grow. And oh, I got to put this in the book. I got to put it in the book. So life happened, and that's how it should be. This is a very thoughtful process. And it's a long-term process of experiences and lived experiences. And so I wanted to make sure people understood that this journey has been a journey. Life will happen. Um, but you'll be better for it. It's how you look at it and how you process it. I got to tell you, it's some painful things in the book, but I am better for each one of them. I didn't see that at the time, but we all know hindsight is 2020. And if you really think I want to have a growth mindset, I want to be better as a result, that is how it will land with you. So,
So I always ask my guests this question toward the end of the interview, and that is, how can we support you?
yes, thank you for that. You're supporting me, one, by sharing the message on your podcast. Thank you. Two, the book is on pre-sale now at Amazon.com, my website, KarmetriaBurton.com. Follow me on social media, Karmetria Burton on all social media handles. I'll be having a big book launch event in April,
Oh, yay.
so stay tuned for that. Yep. And then I think, first time here, Either I'm going to start a book club or a mastermind. So I'll be bringing a certain group of women together where we'll really do the work together on the principles of the book. So follow me, follow me, follow me to keep updated on where we're going to take this. Again, this is not a moment. This is really a movement of healing, a movement of growing. Black women deserve more, but Black women have to show up with more. And the way we show up with more is we got to do the work first with ourselves. And that means shifting minds and shifting hearts. And that's what the book is all about.
Yay. Yay to all that. I'm looking forward to this movement really taking off because Black women need it. We need it, and we need it from ourselves and to share it with others. What we
Yes.
can do to increase the quality of our sisterhood is we cannot even fathom what we're able to accomplish once we understand that one thing, how important sisterhood is. I have a quick question for you, and then I'm going to share a quote that you actually said in our last conversation that I'm going to leave us with. You mentioned a book that you were working on called Grandmother Said. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah. So, you know how we all have these grandmothers that have the best sayings. And as I get older, I find myself saying, Big Mama said that. So I did think about putting something together. Grandmama said,
Okay. All
yeah,
right.
you're right. Thank you for that.
So
Yep.
I wondered where that was, if you had added anything else to that, if you were still
No.
thinking about that.
Yep. I'm still
Okay.
thinking about it. Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
All right. For now, I encourage you to please, please, please purchase Dr. Karmetria Burton's book, Never Wear Red Lipstick. It's available for pre-sale now, as she said. And there's something you said in our last conversation that I'd like to leave you all with. Dr. Karmetria Burton, in our last conversation, I think it was episode 14, so go back and listen to it. She said, if you get a seat at the table, use your seat at the table. That resonated with me. I have heard it played back in my mind a few times since that conversation. If you get a seat at the table, if you're able to get that seat at the table, whatever the seat is, it can be in a corporate place, it can be in an entrepreneurial place, it can be in a room, it can be in a relationship that you wanted. If you get that seat at the table, use your seat at the table. Make that seat valuable.
And that's a scary feeling, ladies. I get it. Because sometimes we're the one and we're the only in the room, but you're really not.
Yeah.
Think of all those women that have come before you. Imagine you standing on their shoulders in that meeting. Visualize that. If you've been invited to a meeting, you were invited for a reason. So share your perspective. Use your voice, even if it shakes. Because sometimes we're scared, but you're there for a reason. And so I want you to step into that. You're not alone. You're there for a reason. Use your voice, even if it shakes.
Yes. And with that, thank you so much for spending this time with me, Dr. Karmetria. I appreciate you. I appreciate your heart and your
Thank you.
generosity and your wisdom and your willingness to think about the people that are impacted and influenced by what you've experienced and what you've learned and what you're sharing, to think about them as a way to help and heal yourself.
Yes. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm looking forward to going on this journey of healing with everyone. So thank you for the opportunity.
As I reflect on this conversation with Dr. Karmetria, what stays with me is not the symbol of red lipstick, but the moment when a rule actually becomes visible. So many of us are living inside of patterns that we never consciously chose, rules that we inherited, strategies that used to protect us, ways of being that worked until they don't anymore. This year on the podcast, we're slowing down just enough to start to notice those patterns, not to judge them, not to run past them, but to really see them clearly. Because awareness isn't the end of the work, it's just the starting point. What you do once you see the pattern is where your responsibility and accountability lives. My hope is that this conversation invites you to ask a different question. Not how do I fix myself, but what rule am I still organizing my life around? That question alone can change everything. If this episode resonated with you, Dr. Karmetria Burton's new book, Never Wear Red Lipstick, is available for pre-sale now. And we'll continue this work together, one layer of awareness at a time. Thank you so much for listening.